What's going on, guys? It's been a hot second, but we're back with another album review. Today we're going to look at Wake Up Sunshine by Baltimore rockers All Time Low. I'll be honest, I was a little nervous about this album. The previous album, Last Young Renegade, was definitely more pop and electronic influenced. With Alex also playing in Simple Creatures, which is also an electronic focused band, I was a little worried this album was going to kind of be going too far in that direction versus the pop punk stuff that they're really well known for. Let's dive into this album and see what's up. So first up on this album is Some Kind of Disaster. This was also the first track they released from the album as a single, along with a stellar music video. This album starts off with a similar vibe from their last album, which was way more melancholy and darker than most of their material. It opens up with Alex belting over the chorus held out over some real clean guitar. Right when you think it's going to be this real slow ballad, the verse kicks in with some upbeat punk drums. There's some cool ambient guitars also kind of sitting farther back in the mix to add some color. The chorus really shines in this song. The vocal melody is super catchy and kind of does it back and forth with this slick guitar lead. Lyrically, I think I love the way Alex writes. He walks a fine line between kind of like blunt Blink-182-esque lyrics, but still touches on the deep poetic, pierce the veil type metaphorical lines. This song is my favorite lyrically on the album. The line, "So what are you after, some kind of disaster," just fits perfectly. Right off the bat, I'm going to give this song 9 out of 10. Great first song to drop on this album. Sleeping In is a fun, upbeat, pop-infused song. At first, I really wasn't a massive fan, but I think it kind of like grew on me over time. The verses have some really cool guitar voicings, while the vocals feel super bubblegum pop. Up next is the chorus. I love the upbeat punk drums mixed with the Spitfire melodies Alex is singing. It's such a fast and percussive chorus, which fits perfectly since the verses are kind of laid back. The last line, "We don't sleep, but we like sleeping in," is super catchy. The bridge is also a great build-up, which evolves into this killer drum breakdown. I also want to point out that Ryan is an incredibly underrated drummer, especially in like the alt-rock world. This bridge really shows some of his chops. The transitions from the snare to the hi-hat and the dynamics really work well here. Vocally, I love the melodies, but the lyrics really didn't do too much for me. It's just a little too bubblegum pop. Something I want to point out in the video itself, which they were really promoting animal rescue and adoption, which I'm a huge fan of, so absolute bonus points. I'd give this song 6 out of 10, not my favorite on the album, personally. Getaway Green is next, and it sounds like it could have been right off their older album, Nothing Personal. This song has that carefree summer attitude of driving down the road with the windows open. And I love the super 80s inspired guitar leads as well. The chorus also keeps this real syncopated bouncy rhythm guitar while the lead plays these backing strums which really thicken up the mix. The vocal melody itself is up there in Alex's vocal register, and it fits in really well with the instrumentals. I love the bridge as well. It's almost kind of like a second chorus, which is refreshing on this album. It kind of reminds me of the bridge a little bit on Something's Gotta Give, where it's got this very minor sad sounding, but it still keeps the intensity of the chorus. I feel like they definitely tend to do this breakdown build-up, the choruses, so it was nice to see something a little bit different. This song definitely shines on the album. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Up next is Melancholy Kaleidoscope, and it's one of my favorite songs on the album melodically. The intro sounds like a throwback to lots of their older material, and really has that classic pop-punk vibe. The main riff itself actually kind of reminds me of the bridge solo in the song JC Ray. The verses have some great phrasing and don't just sit in one vocal register. Instrumentally, the guitar has this real tight palm muted rhythm which gives the vocals a lot of room to breathe. The first chorus sonically reminds me a bit of their song Missing You. It's kind of stripped back a bit with a train beat on the snare. Something they do in this song which I absolutely love is that every time they hit the chorus, they change up the instrumentals a bit by adding or just changing something. The last chorus is just fantastic, and I love how Alex changes up the melody, and the bass guitar does this great run where it mirrors the vocal melody. There are also some really good harmonies there, which really show off Alex's vocal range. According to Alex, this song is lyrically a song about getting better and pulling yourself through it by the way of music. It's about finding yourself in a crowded room at a concert and feeling better, which I think that's great. 9 out of 10, don't skip this song, absolute blast. Next is Trouble Is. First off, this track has some fun with the time signatures. The verses are a bar is 7/4, then a bar is 6/4. And sonically, this really reminds me of Blink-182 for some reason. I think it's the complex drums mixed with the clean arpeggiated guitars. I could just hear Tom DeLonge singing this in my head for some reason. The pre-chorus is a cool, washed build-up with Alex repeating "Trouble Is," which transitions nicely into the chorus. The chorus itself is a lot of fun on this one. They really stick to that 6/4 time signature, so you kind of get that consistency that you don't have in the verses. And the bridge has a cool marching snare style build-up, which is kind of a callback to the pre-chorus, and it's great drumming by Ryan here. The last chorus, Alex really shines vocally. Lyrically, the song feels like it's about toxic people in our life that you just can't seem to avoid. Lines like, "All that I wanted was to get over you. Trouble is I can't find a way. You're part of me," fit this song really well. Overall, this is one of my favorites. I give this one an 8 out of 10. Alright, now we have the title track from the album, "Wake Up Sunshine." This album starts out with a very straight-ahead, classic rocking guitar. It almost sounds like something you'd hear from Jet. The verse I really enjoyed. The chord progression to where it drops down to that minor really hits you, and I think it fits well with the melodies that Alex is singing. Unfortunately, this is not one of my favorite choruses. It's not that it's bad, I just think it's a really safe chorus melodically, instrumentally, and lyrically, but that's just my 2 cents. The bridge jumps into 6/4 and drops tempo, which kind of gives it like this drunk, stumbling swing to it. It's a little awkward how they do the build up in 6 back to the chorus in 4, but it's not that bad. Lyrically, this is a love yourself kind of song, which is just fine. I give this song a 7 out of 10. I would love to see like the rocking intro kind of reflect a bit in Alex's vocals, because I think he's got a really, really great sound when he puts a little bit of like grit in his voice, and I would like to see that on the chorus a bit more. Alright, up next is Monsters. And first off, I'm a massive fan of Black Bear, and I think this song is actually extremely groove-centric. I feel like Zach really gets a chance to shine on this song. The verses are driven by these big quarter note bass notes. The guitar itself feels really dark. The overall feeling of the song is kind of stop and go, and the guitars also sound like they're down-tuned pretty significantly, but I could be wrong. Black Bear really shines in the second verse, and his vocal tone fits the dark monster vibe of the song. I always like how Black Bear's rapping still comes off as extremely melodic. The chorus is also pretty catchy, and for as dark as the song is, Alex's voice really pops. Also, there's an actual guitar solo, so props to Jack. I think his guitar playing on this entire album is very in the pocket. It's not always the flashiest, but it always serves the song, which I think is a big step up from all of their other albums. The downside of the song is Black Bear's kind of just pops in and out on the second verse, and that's it. I really would have kind of liked to see what they did back on Love Like War, where Vic was really involved and did harmonies on the chorus, and instead of it just being like, okay, here you are for verse 2, all right, you're done. All right, so next we have Pretty Venom, and it's actually an interlude song. Alex said they wrote it at 3 a.m. after they'd gotten back from a bar, and they sat there noodling on acoustic guitar. It's kind of like this lo-fi chill tune. Even though it's an interlude, it doesn't mean you should skip it. It feels like, to me, just like another song instead of an interlude. It definitely is different sounding sonically, but it's a very fun song. It's kind of got this acoustic pop ballad vibe. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Favorite place. So this next song features the band Camino. It sounds like something that would be off of like Don't Panic when I first listened to it. I loved the guitar intro, and I think it has a great stacked delay, which would make U2 proud. Something I thought was funny is the drum work's actually kind of reminiscent of the Foo Fighters. The 16th note alternating hi-hat snare in the verse, going right into that just kind of reminded me of Everlong for some reason, even though the kick drum's placed differently. What really makes a song stand out is, I think, the softer instrumentals combined with the driving drums. The bridge is also a highlight for me. They ramp up the intensity even more to kick it off, and then everything just drops right off as Alex brings the song to a close with an acoustic guitar. The dynamics of the song are really spot on. Lyrically, this is a love song. Alex describes it as, we're both in different places, but we're staring at the same stars, which is something I think a lot of people can relate to. I give this song a 7 out of 10. Alright, up next we have Safe, and this song is more electronically driven and is a great hybrid of their electronic song and their more like rock-infused tracks. The verses have some cool drum accents, which I think really make the vocals pop a bit more. The chorus has an Americana rock sound to it. It's impossible not to just kind of like nod your head along when it hits. So Put the Car in Drive and Don't Stop Running Till You're Long Gone lyric and melody are just awesome, and it's one of my favorite parts of the album. The bridge is okay in this song, nothing really jumped out at me here. Personally, I like the dichotomy of the spacey electronic verses mixed with like this rock chorus. I think that really added to the song. I give this one a 7 out of 10. Next is January Gloom, and this one's a really slow, groovy song. It's about seasonal depression, which is a great song idea for us just getting through the winter and this being a spring release album. The verses have this kind of post-rock guitar vibe with these real short stabbing staccato chords. I'm a big fan of these dropout choruses. Most songs kind of like build up to these big soaring choruses, but I've been seeing a trend in pop music recently where they kind of build up to the chorus and it just drops to like vocals and some light instrumentation. I give this song a 7 out of 10. Up next is Clumsy, and I think this is one of the most dancey songs on the album. It's pretty reminiscent of their song Time Bomb. I know they get the pop punk label, but I think this is just a good rock song. I love the lead guitar on this chorus. I think of all of their albums, this one has some of the most tasteful guitar parts. The melody on I've Been Clumsy with Your Heart Again also is so damn good. The metaphors on the song are spot on. Lyrically, the song sounds like it's about disappointing someone who put their trust in you. I think the song is a pretty straightforward rock song, and you give it an 8 out of 10. Alright, next we have Glitter and Crimson. And what a cool percussion intro on this song. I personally love like an awesome bass drum groove. The song as a whole is more laid back, kind of ballad style song. All Time Low always has a knack for writing stellar ballads, all the way back to like Remembering Sunday and Therapy. It's gonna sound really weird, but the first few choruses actually kind of have an Oasis vibe. Maybe it's just because they're playing an acoustic guitar and he's saying the word supernova. The song really takes off at the end. I think Alex digs in and gets some grit in his vocals before going back to this upbeat version of the chorus. Something I've noticed on the album, which I really like, is that they tend to change things up between choruses. Most bands kind of have this copy and paste chorus all over the song, but I think the small subtle changes they do keep the song from feeling stale and gives you something like new to look forward to at every point of the song. Alright, up next is Summer Daze. Just in case I haven't mentioned it yet, this album is a whopping 15 songs long. This one starts off with this really fizzy riff. I think this song has so many more memorable guitar riffs and leads than Last Young Renegade did. Lyrically, this song is about a fleeting summer romance. I'm sure most of us have been there before at some point in our life, something that's just fun, but is destined to not last. And this is the sister song to January Gloom. I give this one a 6 out of 10. Alright, last up on this marathon is Basement Noise. And just to be upfront, I really don't like the lyrics on this one. I get that it's about the whole band, you know, playing in your basement, and your parents may call it that you guys are just making noise. I don't know, I just don't see myself singing along with lyrics like boys making noise in the basement. Just not for me. I don't know what it is, but every album I review kind of has this song at the end that just doesn't quite fit in to the rest of the album. I think it actually could have just cut this song entirely from the album, and I don't think the album would have been any worse for it. I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 10, probably my least favorite one on the album. Okay, so my final thoughts. Overall, I think this is a great new album to add to their discography, and it feels a lot more All Time Low than Last Young Renegade did. I feel like they really shine with more upbeat music versus some of the more electronic songs. I think overall the pacing of the album's a little odd at the end. You get a lot more of your slower tempo songs, and then Basement Noise to finish it off was kind of just a weird song. It's like eating like a nice steak dinner and then kind of chasing it with a real kind of cheap beer. The album as a whole was great, but once I stopped and just hit pause, it just kind of left me with a weird taste in my mouth. Honestly, with how crazy everything's been this spring, this album feels like a little ray of summer sunshine to cheer me up, which is very welcome. For there being 15 songs, there wasn't like a ton of filler, which you normally see in longer albums, minus Basement Noise. I thought that was kind of a filler song. My top tracks were probably Melancholy Kaleidoscope, Trouble Is, and Some Kind of Disaster. And all three of those were tracks that they released on the lead up to it, so I think they did a good job of picking out their singles, and I think they're a good representation of what the album kind of has. Alright, that's all I have. So what are your guys' thoughts? How does this album compare to their previous work? Let me know down in the comments, and be sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I'll catch you guys next week.